or I don't know how this is supposed to work out.
Yeah, I'm sure I've seen it once or twice in the past, but I really couldn't tell you. If I had to guess, just based on the power that both of these characters have, is that Kilik I find to be strongest when it comes to like a more mid-range kind of spacing neutral kind of thing, but 2B's ability to pressure and especially go through AGS stance, super especially in Soul Charge, I would imagine completely eliminates that. So I can imagine this being very difficult and frustrating for Kilik.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, you know, no matter who you're playing, 2B is gonna 2B. Okay, she is gonna 2B her way to try and get a victory. So 2B is gonna 2B no matter what character
2B
you're going
or not
to
2B. That's definitely the question. I definitely haven't made that joke before. It's definitely something I made up on the spot and didn't. Anyway, we're gonna see if Abyss Commando can come up with see, overall, he's just getting overwhelmed with just, like, the amount of like button presses and some of these strings that aren't necessarily safe. So I'm curious to see if we're gonna see Abyss Commando do some of the punishes off of these 2-hit strings. That is, assuming that the 2B player is going to go for that kind of unsafe stuff. Ooh, tried to go for the RI, not so much though.
Yeah, we're seeing a lot of reactive GI attempts as well as the RI there, and to me that reads as if, you know, there may be some unfamiliarity with this matchup. I can relate where, you know, if you're getting overwhelmed, your first option is to try and GI and see if there's something there, see if you can get some sort of something get going, but that hasn't worked out for him yet. And you can see here he's trying to keep up the pressure and trying to get something started, because thus far 2B has really controlled the pace and has had all of the momentum.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. The best defense is a good offense, right? And I do very much appreciate the fact that he was able to keep it despite the fact that Gold Yorha tried to use one of his bars, because you want to talk about trying to steal back any kind of momentum. 2B Soul Charge is one of the most interactive in the game, and so I appreciate the fact that he was able to eliminate one of those bars. He still has a lot more work to do. Jeez. Okay, we're trading unblockables for lethal hits now.
Yeah, and this is gonna be some damage. But you know, he's gonna Soul Charge, knock her right down out of the air, try to go for a command grab. He's no.
Terrible punish. It's important to note that you do not. So it's a grab, right? And you kind of typically try to punish it as if it were any kind of grab, but you can get.
What a play!
Just stood there. But the one thing I wanted to mention is that that CE can be heavily punished. You can get up and then just walk around for a while and then do your heaviest punish, and you'll still have time to recover very slowly.
That's a good thing to note, because again, like you said, people are just used to punishing a certain way, but that is one of the critical edges that you can kind of do a whole sequence and still get a punish.
Seems like we're getting a whole lot of weird hitbox kind of issues. Jeez, speaking of which, and I'm not sure if that's Deb. Let's go. Oh, it's especially not going to be Deb.
Oh no, Whip City. Oh my god. I mean, still able to clutch it out, but yeah, I believe that's 4-4B from 2B. That huge sword, that huge sword attack, that almost cost him something there, because if Kilik had gotten up in time, he could have gotten a good punish there.
Yeah, I can't remember if that's the typical Soul Charge combo in that regard, but traditionally speaking, that Soul Charge hit that he ended up getting probably could have come close to winning out the round, if not winning it outright. So a little bit of spaghetti on both players so far, especially once we get into like the tighter areas. I guess it's going to come down to who can keep their cool the quickest and fastest.
Yeah, and definitely keep the momentum. Because, you know, props to Abyss, he was down 2, but brought it right down to the final round, which is always good. Ooh, get up Kilik shenanigans. I don't know how useful that's going to be here, especially if you're that distance away.
Yeah, I really like the fact that he tried to go for that 4-4B like you were talking about, to try and catch him. It didn't end up working out, but still, it was pretty cool.
Yeah, kind of of what we saw before. 2B Gold Yorha taking the first round. See if he can keep it up.
At the start of that the round that we're currently seeing now, we ended up doing something that was about at least minus 18, I think, and it ended up getting not punished at all. So if I'm Gold Yorha, I'm thinking, well, as long as I can lean on some of the stuff that's typically unsafe, but this guy doesn't know about it, I can basically win out the game.
Yeah, and that's one of the things with a game such as Soul Calibur. As he takes the second round, you know, you can really take advantage of the fact that your opponent may not have, you know, the best working knowledge of the matchup. And I mean, like, I sympathize, you know, again, fighting against 2B, very much oppressive. It can become overwhelming.
It's having a bit of success in the first game when he was able to actually get in and just play his game, thus eliminating 2B's game. But it's just overall, I think trying to go for some of these GIs are just unfortunately timed, and I think he's maybe underestimating the power of reversal edge against aggressive shift. Overall, that seems to be one of the typical ways you can get out of situations. So that's going to end up taking the game, but overall, making sure that you're punishing what can be punished, trying to play your game a little bit better, and then trying to exercise some level of effectively like a panic kind of RE or a GI timing might work out during aggression shift shenanigans.
Yeah, that's true. And I mean, I think during that last round there, he soul charged entirely too late.
Yeah.
I was kind of waiting for him with the 2 bars, but I guess he...
Right?
Yeah.
I was just like, oh, well, okay. And, you know, of course, I recognize some people, like, you know, Yorha came to NLBC all the time. But yeah, a lot of people got some, you know, some PCs.
Yeah, if I had to guess, I would imagine that NashFan, there's a good chance that he's decided to come into this from Nick. I feel like the majority of people are thinking about that from the Xianghua standpoint.
Yes, and
so
I was just going to say...
Sophitia, of course.
Yeah, I was going to say SoSickNashFan rocking the patented. The last time I've actually played him offline, he was a Xianghua main, so no surprise here.
And I mean, he's predominantly known in other fighting games as far as I know. I can't remember which ones.
He knows Street Fighter, DOA.
Okay.
As well as Mortal Kombat as well. Yeah.
Yeah, he had done a relatively good job while Soul Calibur 6 was coming up. I feel like he might have taken a break. So, speaking to people who have taken a break, Malice is one of the people that I first started playing Soul Calibur with way back when in 2004. And I feel like he decides to play in these tournaments. I'm not necessarily sure how much practice he gets in between. But overall, Sophie versus X, we're definitely going to see significantly less spacing than we were in the previous match. We're talking about 2 shorter range characters. And I feel like, but the problem is that we're dealing with somebody who has an I-10 versus an I-12, so you're going to see, ooh, this is going to be a heavy punish. That might even kill. No, it's not going to kill yet. Okay.
And SoSickNashFan, like, really turning the pressure. And just like you said, you know, Sophitia versus Xianghua, it's really going to be a slobber knocker who can really get their string or their button out first. But I think between the 2, Xianghua is going to be the one that's going to be checking Sophitia a lot. If he has those reads and if he knows, if Malice is able to recognize when he should press a button. And that's what's really going to come down to.
I think it's a difference of, I mean, for one, you have something like that, what you just saw from Malice. The punish game is going to be more heavily in Sophie's favor. Soul Charge is going to be significantly in Sophie's favor. CE is going to be more in favor of NashFan. So it's going to be a matter of making sure, so things like, you know, Sophie 66A and Sophie 66K, a lot of stuff that Sophie players like to throw out, which can typically only get punished by like an AA or something like that, are going to get CE'd instead. And that's a pretty big difference. Oh boy.
But Malice getting one on the board during that last round. What in the hell? Foul that
into full crouch 3B, catches back turn. He probably could have comboed off of a back turn B plus K.
File that under Okubo, please. Hashtag. I don't know what that was.
I feel like that's been in the game since forever. I'm curious to see who's going to spend their bar first. I really feel like NashFan should try to come up with some time to use it. You don't want to die without using it at all, right? Oh, no.
Yeah, that's true. And I'm also watching NashFan from the standpoint of, you know, the Xianghua players we're used to seeing Incendiate as well as Xephukai. They tend to use their meters similarly, like kind of depending on the launcher into CE. Well, more Incendiate than Xephukai. But I wonder how NashFan will use his if he gets a chance to use it. And that's different from what we usually see on this particular tournament. Oh, there we go.
Yeah, I think this is definitely the better way. Yeah, I think this is definitely the better way of going about it. Most people will try to keep their stuff for a soul charge, but X's soul charge isn't exactly the most overwhelming of soul charges, you could say. So he's going to get into the last round 2 bars to 1. I just hope that he doesn't end up trying to save the meter too much to the point where he's going to lose before he's actually going to be able to use it.
As Malice gets punished by Xianghua, Malice sitting on 2 bars himself, but he's whiffing not really whiffing, but he's getting you know, a lot of the moves he's going for are verticals, and NashFan is just on his feet. He's been sidestepping them and punching accordingly really well. Is he gonna die with 2 bars?
Ooh,
Yes.
that kind of stinks. So yeah, off of that CE, the Oki that you have there, he ended up going for, NashFan ended up going for a B+K, which, if Malice were to have gotten up and activated Soul Charge, it would have beat him out of it, but he would have lost his bar, so that leads me to believe that he just got hit by the B+K rather than actually trying to activate Soul Charge, which is kind of confusing to me, because it seems like Malice just never had the concept of going into Soul Charge in his mind at all, and that kind of stinks, because I still think, even though it got nerfed, I think Sophie's Soul Charge is still pretty good. It's certainly better than, you know, not using it.
Yeah, and I mean, I would extend that to a number of the characters in the game. Once you're in Soul Charge, you're putting your opponent on notice. You know, moves change, you get access to new moves. You know, characters do become technically, you know, a little bit more powerful. So even just a Soul Charge, just to put NashFan on notice, like, okay, Soul Charge, I gotta be on my game now, because here comes some new moves.
Ooh, I appreciate the interrupt there. I very much doubt that Malice wanted to taunt in the middle there. There's got to be some sort of mashing that was going on. We're getting significantly more... So it seems like both of them want to play a defensive playstyle, but overall NashFan is more patient about it, and is allowing Malice to just make certain whiffs happen, which wouldn't exactly be... If Malice wants to do this, he's going to have to either be more patient, or he's going to have to just say screw this kind of playstyle and just go in and try to play the scrappy game instead. I would heavily lean more towards the former.
Yeah, and I would like to see him go for some more horizontals, because I still believe going for the verticals a lot is really killing him. As I don't know about this one.
No, that wasn't the optimal combo. I think what happened was he was trying to think of like how he can best operate in this position and potentially get a ring out, and then just eventually said, well, CE will definitely work. And it's like, well, see, there you go again. Malice is just getting too impatient, running into 3Bs and stuff like that. If he can calm down a little bit more, I think he still has a chance at it, but he needs to figure it out right away.
Absolutely. And I think the patient point is so important, because that was such a weird interaction. But
yeah, it was 2-2B, back turn B+K, but then the jump forward from the 2-2B from Sophie made it go into back turn B+K, back turn B+K.
And I also like NashFan's use of Xianghua's AAB. He's using it at really good points to check Malice when he tries to sidestep something, or when he tries to challenge Xianghua certain moves or strings where, you know, he really shouldn't be. So,
and you kind of saw that B+K end up eating the Soul Charge in that situation again. For the most part, I find the best way to deal with the Oki. The Oki off of the CE is such a killer. You really have to be worried about it, aside from the fact that it's an I-12 CE that does a good amount of damage. And so I find that for the most part, rolling back will take care of a lot of the options that overly ambitious X's try to use. And kind of force them to use some of the options that don't necessarily grant her as good of pressure. But yeah, overall, the amount of patience that Malice had was just simply too thin for the kind of game plan that he was trying to work with.
Yep.
Alright, guys, real quick. Oh, go ahead, Ian.
Yeah, do it.
Do it up. Do it up. Sitting here like fiends over here. Anyway, guys, if you guys are enjoying this event, you know, Make sure to hit up that match, Reno. Help the tournament out real quick. Paste the link in the chat.
Amount of things to say. If he decides to play Amy, I will have a significantly larger amount of things to say.
I mean, if he chooses anyone, we'd have something to say.
Yeah, we probably could have come up with more stuff to talk about, but the fact that he's going Yoshimitsu is kind of surprising to me. I was unaware that Kazui played other characters other than Nightmare.
Yes, I've seen him actually pull out Yoshi before. He doesn't do it often, but my understanding is that it's his go-to secondary.
I wonder what made him decide to do it here. Kilik and Amy, you don't want to play Nightmare? Seems like a perfectly fine pick to me. But overall, he's going to have to deal with more mid-range kind of poking stuff, potentially have a tough time getting in against Kilik or against Lucian. But he would be able to potentially overwhelm, especially on a stage like this.
Yeah, and I think it's really going to also come down to whether or not Lucian has any experience with the Yoshi matchup. Similar to what I was talking about earlier, I feel like he's one of those characters that can really run away with some, I mean, I don't want to call it stupidity, but some craziness if you don't know, you know, what your options are. So I'm sure that's going to play a huge role. Perhaps that inspired Kazui to go with Yoshi in this particular situation. Nice RE by him.
Yeah, it's good. I mean, I think he's the strongest Vortex character in the game at the moment, and so running up and trying to get in this way is definitely going to be a hard time. I couldn't really say specifically how Kilik handles things. It seems like overall, if the Abyss Commando match is any indication, Kilik has a hard time dealing with people in his face just in...
Yeah, overwhelming.
Yeah. It's going to be a matter of if he can utilize the AGIs to his benefit. He obviously also gets a pretty big benefit from crouching under highs, over grabs, stuff like that. I don't know so much about that. See, nice.
Yeah, but Lucian answering back as we go to the third round. It looks like we're going to have an even matchup here. But again, Kazui really not creating any space at all, deciding to stay right in his dome.
Well, I
and I think
for the 3Ks. I think the 3Ks were a smart idea.
Yeah.
He's trying to get away from the horizontal AGIs for the most part, other than the fact that it's also just a pretty good poke in and of itself. Evil Kilik ends up winning the day.
Yeah, and looks like Lucian's kind of warmed up here. See if he's able to maintain this momentum. Again, you know, Yoshi can definitely put a stop to that. But in my eyes, Kazui's going to have to just press it more. But that's he cannot keep doing that.
Yeah,
3BB by Yoshi is absolutely unsafe. And Lucian has already demonstrated he will punish accordingly. So see what adjustments Kazui does.
So he's going to have to spend bar here. I appreciate going with the bar back. So I'm wondering, you know, Kazui can kind of keep this... Yeah, okay, so he decides to heal. That way he doesn't have to worry about, you know, the health risks. But a large chunk of Yoshi's soul charge was eliminated. Not enough, though.
Ooh.
Real tough
Wow,
to get.
we're getting some close matches tonight. Final battle again.
Still has a pretty big meter advantage. Gonna have to deal with another Yoshi soul charge, but we'll see if he... I mean, he may not have to worry about it too much if he ends up just, like, taking the kind of initiative that he's taking on right now during the whole round.
Oh, no punish on that from Kilik. I believe that's AAB or 6AAB. It's been quite some time, but wow, what an ending from Lucian.
Yeah,
wow,
right.
in full charge.
Yeah, that was pretty crazy.
Whoa, damn. That is a lot of gift
subs
subs. That was 7 gift subs. Thank you, Preachy.
Thanks so much for subscribing.
Wow.
Welcome to the stage
Super
of
awesome.
history.
You gotta give giving your thanks.
So are we gonna go to Nightmare, or are we sticking with Yoshi? Oh,
Astaroth. I mean,
know what,
he's just
Kazui?
playing the character roulette tonight.
whatever you want.
Esports.
I don't know.
Thanks so
I don't know
much for
what's up.
subscribing.
But Astaroth versus Kilik. I mean, a very significantly different character. We're talking about a character that does, in Yoshi, that didn't really do all that much damage, to a character that does a gigantic amount of damage, whether it be walls, or through ring outs, or through just straight up neutral. Significantly slower, from an I-10 to a character with I-12s that are just kind of awkward as opposed to really being punishing. It's really going to come down to whether he can make the gigantic reads that he needs to come up with.
I mean, it's still early on in the match, but the other thing I'd be curious about is whether or not he's going to, you know, as we stated earlier, Kilik does have a hard time with, you know, over-aggression. But I wonder how that will play for Astaroth. Can he really play that over-aggression game? Which, I mean, I think he could, but...
for the mid-range game, he's certainly going to be a lot better in the mid-range game. You're not going to have to... if anything, I would think the Rikuto approach to Astaroth would be better against Lucian in this regard.
Yes.
A mid-range kind of thing, when you have a longer-range character, is just going to work out a lot better.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. And we're seeing the fruits of that right now. I mean, he tried the super aggression thing with Yoshi. Again, as we've seen so many times, Astaroth is really good in that mid-range. And I think that's where he should play. But he is opting to continue to really go in and try to overwhelm Lucian.
Yeah.
I mean, he's getting these command grabs. They're working.
If that was the plan, I feel like it would have been better suited for a different character. This is kind of what I was talking about before, where like you can kind of mitigate the life loss because you don't have enough life to lose at this point. And holy hell, is that it? Okay, ended up getting out on a basically one round. And that's gonna... Okay, wow.
Damn. I mean, that was really unfortunate there, because he had control. But
Kazui, the assumption was, okay, I just need this like one extra hit, let me get it. And if he was with Yoshi, I think he would have had an easier time with it. But the fact of the matter is, when you get, you know, Astaroth isn't exactly the best at getting that one little tiny hit left.
Yeah, he really has to plan his sequence out.
Yeah.
Really, if you go for Soul Charge, and we didn't even see any Soul Charge shenanigans.
Yeah, we didn't get a chance
at all. You know, he Soul Charged and did nothing with it, and he's currently sitting on 2 bars. I mean,
he is still winning without it, so I can understand it, but yeah, whenever I talk about... One of the things that I always like to talk about when it comes to Astaroth, when it comes to Nightmare, and a handful of other characters, is that they're gigantic meter batteries. They build meter so quickly, and I think that's a huge thing to talk about, because using meter aggressively, potentially kind of like this, also with Soul Charge activations, means that you are allowing your... So if you have 2 bars, it means you can't build any more meter, right? So you're effectively losing meter whenever you're going through these grabs, and you're not getting any meter out of them. It's kind of a big deal.
Yeah, so it looks like he's gonna... Ooh. Nice damage. Okay, and I mean, this command grab has been putting in work for him. And Lucian has not been breaking that. Is that a back break? Or?
The back grab is the one that you always traditionally want to break against Astaroth. That's the one that does the reset into a gigantic amount of damage. The forward grab still does a pretty good amount of damage, but yeah, definitely don't want to get reverse rung out, Lucian. You want to kind of stay back there.
Which is exactly what he does. Soul Charge and get out of there. Ooh, but gets the launcher.
Feel like he could have CE'd there and ended up killing. I'm not sure what happened. Okay, decides to heal. Just has to weather the storm of this Soul Charge. Definitely like one of the scariest Soul Charges in the entire game, but ends up getting it.
Yeah, but again, I mean, we see that from Astaroth players sometime. An over-reliance on the Bull Charge. I mean, but, you know, it can be sidestepped. So I don't know, with that amount of health, I don't know if that was the right move to really throw that out there, especially, again, when you're in Soul Charge. We had not seen the Beyblade from him at all.
We didn't even see... It's kind of funny that he spent so much time and had so much success with command grabs during that set, but once he was in Soul Charge, he just stopped using them. When, they get more powerful. I imagine the point of the Bull Rush was to try to get under a high. Kilik relies heavily on a lot of highs to try and keep his opponent at bay. But they didn't end up coming. Lucian was had decided to play patiently the whole time, which makes sense.
Yeah, so good games to him. 2-0 over Kazui.
Do you think he has a brother named Banjo? I can't be the first person to think about that.
Oh my god.
Evolution 1, Breezy.
Yep.
All right. We're in winners round 2. SlyTiger and TwiceADay.
I mean, the Kilik parade tonight.
Yeah, right?
We're really in for a treat.
When I had my
Kilik main step up, celebrate.
I wasn't necessarily expecting triple Kilik. Now, I've seen TwiceADay play other characters like Taki and stuff like that. I have a feeling he won't do that though. I feel like he's gonna stick with Kilik. And against Talim, that sounds tough. Because again, we're going back to what we saw before when it came to like what ends up destroying Kilik, which is a lot of in-your-face pressure. It's not many characters. There are some, but there are not very many characters that are better at that than Talim is.
Yeah, and again, we're being treated to not only tons of Kilik play, but how he handles certain matchups.
Mm-hmm.
And I would think, again, the Talim matchup, another one of those matchups where you can really be knowledge checked, and it can become extremely overwhelming if you're not, familiar with where you can duck, where you can sidestep, what her options are. So I really want to see what TwiceADay is going to do with this. But again, both players in the Buminati League, and I believe TwiceADay, he's one of the captains, if I'm not mistaken.
He's one of the captains. Yep. I would imagine TwiceADay has at least enough experience with regards to dealing with Talim pressure to know when he can auto GI, when he can duck, and so it's just going to be a matter of having a brain that's active enough and exercised enough to take those bets at a significant pace, because Talim's going to force you to make those decisions over and over again, right? And if you're not used to trying to make those decisions that quickly, then you're just going to, by the time that you finally figure out the pace that you need to play the match, the match is going to be over. So it's going to be a matter of, like, you get a good amount of damage when you're right, so you can sacrifice the fact that you might be wrong a handful of times in order to just get those handful of times that you're right and win out the day. So, or maybe win out twice the day. That won't
And, by the way, not to not acknowledge your joke, but TwiceADay and SlyTiger are on the same team for Buminati League, so they probably played a ton of matches together. So this is gonna be kind of a warm-up for them, or a practice, depending on how they do their stuff. But SlyTiger getting that lethal hit, not able to capitalize off of it.
I guess he
definitely don't want to start, with that kind of thing.
Back turned or something like that. I don't know. It seemed a bit odd. Or maybe it was just like a dropped input just overall. Looks like they're gonna take a slower pace of the game. Wow, mashing sidestep like a hooligan. Catching the sidestep thusly. Oh, doesn't end up getting it, and that's probably gonna take out the round.
Yeah. What do you know the lethal hit condition for that one? Is that just like a missed hit, or?
Oh, the lethal hit that Kilik just got?
Yeah.
That's his -18 punish. When something is punishable enough, he can end up getting that lethal hit.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, he's one of those characters.
And again, TwiceADay showing his knowledge that he has on Talim, because again, that would be one of those lethal hits where you really have to know what you can really punish to get your damage. And again, these two being on the same team for the league, I am sure they both know some things about each other. Clutching that second round out, TwiceADay winning 2 rounds. Somebody said twice as nice. Ba-doo-ba. Love it. All right. He's really catching SlyTiger, trying to move. SlyTiger gonna soul charge here and then create some distance. I don't know about that. He's gonna have to go in and utilize the soul charge. Oh, if he had only continued that string, he would have gotten some. But this wall combo doesn't finish it. Ooh, TwiceADay. I mean, really, really solid play. I mean, that whole last round, there was so many ways he could have dropped that, but really took advantage of the moments that SlyTiger had where he could have cashed out a lot more damage. and he did not do it. It looks like that costed him the round possibly. No stage change, gonna go right back into the forest. And again, SlyTiger's gonna have to watch these RE cancels because clearly TwiceADay is taking advantage of it, going for the unblockable with Kilik. It has worked every single time he's done it so far. See if Sly can really get anything started. Nice sidestep from TwiceADay. Again, Talim being one of those characters where you have to, you have to know really the character and what they're capable of, and he's really showing that now. All right, gonna get a low here. Hello?
I think Jay vanished.
Okay, I just want to make sure I was okay. You guys
Not
can
you.
hear me. Okay. All right, I'm just gonna continue then. Talim going for the first CE. Oh, TwiceADay interrupting with a CE of his own, and he's gonna take it. I mean, I don't even know what Sly could do here. I don't even know. I just feel like TwiceADay has him downloaded, and again, these two are teammates in the current Boominati League, and I am sure that has a lot to do with it. TwiceADay, as the captain of that team, probably knowing how to deal with SlyTiger as he gets another lethal hit into a grab. I mean, he is just putting on a clinic right now. Another panic CE. This time, backstepping did no favors for him at all.
Hey, am I back?
Yes, you are.
Hello, everybody. I don't know what happened. The entirety of my internet hiccuped. I was under the assumption that the stream had crashed, and so I was talking for a large portion of that, just trying to talk until the stream came back, and it turns out it was just me. So I apologize ahead of time in that ends up happening again. But hey everybody. All right,
Sly finally, well, while you were gone, Sly finally putting one on the board. I don't know if he's going to be able to recover from this though, because up until now, TwiceADay is just, it's almost like TwiceADay has played him before, you know? He just knows everything he wants to do.
So it's just one of those situations where just the overall timing issue that SlyTiger is having is just causing a situation where he can't seem to get anything going. You can kind of tell from the step duck into the wall rising B.
Yeah, and I mean, having played SlyTiger myself a number of times, I can just see it. You know, I can just see that TwiceADay just has him down pack, but you know, as he just gets stuffed right there.
So yeah, again, apologies for that to happen. I don't entirely know why it happened, so I guess there's a chance that it could happen again. If it does end up happening, you'll probably be able to tell pretty quickly.
Yeah, I figured it out when I looked over at the Discord list and didn't see you on it. So, Clive covered for you. It's fine.
Very good.
Oh, I thought it was me because I'm charging my headphone while using it because it was beeping before, and I was like, "Oh, did it give out?" And then I looked at the Discord, and I'm like, "Wait."
I've just been in that situation before where something will happen on the stream, and so I just try to talk through it because no reason to bring attention to it if you don't have to, right? And then eventually it was just like, okay, hold on, the Discord thing isn't working, and my stream isn't working, and none of my.
All right, Noah with his patented Sungmina and Twixxie rocking Ivy with an Ivy-esque stage. I love this stage as an Ivy mate. I just love this stage.
Even I totally understand it, but even against Mina, I don't know so much if it's.
Well, I don't like any stage against Mina. So for me, it really doesn't matter.
I think an all-wall stage
we're on
would be, well, maybe not as Ivy, but. You're certainly getting rid of like any kind of I wouldn't necessarily say that her wall combos are particularly impressive, but a stage like this, I guess the spacing is still something that you would want as Ivy. Noah, one of our consummate players that tends to come to these things quite a lot. I'm curious to see if he's going to figure out exactly how Twixxie ends up playing. I would say that he has kind of a unique style, a unique timing that takes a little bit of getting used to.
Yeah, and again, you know, this NLBC on Sundays, it's very tight-knit, it's kind of small, And Twixxie this is his first time on here. So, you know, Noah has faced a number of IVs on this platform, myself included, but he has not run into Twixxie. And the one thing about Ivy, us Ivy mains, we all play her differently. You know, so will Noah be able to pick up on that as he gets a perfect during the second round? Will Noah be able to pick up Twixxie's timing on how he plays Ivy? And that will be a sight to see and see what happens here.
It already seems to be getting a good read on like when these command grabs are coming, and if you're going to have a heavy punish like that, definitely worthwhile. Fantastic hit there as well. Perhaps he doesn't have to necessarily worry about the timing if he can always be on the offense.
Yeah,
but yeah, we're seeing some newer players come into these kind of things. NashFan, Twixxie, legit is somebody who's, as far as I know, brand new that just came in here as well. So it's nice to see some fresh faces.
Yeah, as Noah took the second round pretty convincingly, but he's gonna eat this combo here into 6-6 BB. Yes.
Important information for Twixxie to have that he ended up GIing that follow-up attack after what is typically followed up with a soul attack. But Twixxie likes to tend to hold on to his meter until he basically just using the soul charge for the burst away.
Yeah, which is, you know, a pretty good way to handle Ivy in this particular matchup, but he's gonna have to do more to get some sort of lead here as he uses the bar. Like you said, he's gonna soul charge, goes for the unblockable, but Noah had his number, and that's gonna be the end of the round.
So I've played Twixxie not in a long time, but I used to play him quite a lot. And I found that his meter usage is very good when he's playing against a character who is aggressive, right? Who can't necessarily compete with that kind of range. Mina is not one of those characters, so you can't necessarily use the bar and then see that the does his soul charge activation back and say like, well, I got the burst, so clearly I'm not in his range anymore. Not necessarily the case against Mina.
Right, and I mean, I'm already seeing some new moves out of Twixxie. But again, the Mina matchup itself, and that's the second time he's ducked a CS attempt. Speaking of taking notes, Twixxie's gonna have to write that one down. He's gonna go for CS. No, goes for SS instead and lands it. The just frame version as well.
Yeah, that seemed a little bit... I mean, it ended up winning him the round, but I'm kind of surprised that Twixxie would go for yet another command grab in that situation, considering the fact that Noah had punished him so heavily before, both times. So, and some pretty spooky stuff.
Yeah, and maybe that's why it landed that time. Perhaps Noah was like, oh, he's not going to go for it again. You know, stubborn Ivy mains, like, you're not going to stop me from throwing this out on Oki. I don't think so.
Getting the full just frames. Ooh, a GI there. We don't typically see that. Now, that's a totally different situation,
GI
right?
Yes.
Yeah, it doesn't do as much damage, but it's significantly harder to see that kind of thing coming. Noah isn't going to be able to come up with the duck, seeing as how it was post GI.
Yeah, but, you know, Twixxie's showing he has knowledge of this matchup as well.
Ooh, fantastic whip punish.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a very long one. That's going to kill. Well... yeah, it's okay.
Yes.
I'm glad that I wasn't made a liar. He was in yellow life, which led me to believe that that would be the case. But he's going to have a slight meter disadvantage, though I don't think that's going to matter too heavily, because Twixxie, again, doesn't really use meter aggressively. Of course, now he uses it to make
pack
like a jerk,
with punish. Oh, and this is good for Twixxie. Okay, what's going to be 6-6 BB? No, goes for 6-6 KK. Nice, but again, I mean, I haven't paid attention to... I haven't paid attention to when Twixxie has been going for those command grabs, but I mean, they just keep getting ducked.
They're in relatively obvious spots, effectively. So again, I would say that the reason why that last hit just connected to end that round for Twixxie is because he's gone for command grab so often in that situation. So I think at this point, you know, unfortunately, Ivy's not exactly known for having incredible mids that scare you into ducking. So I feel like going for those kinds of things a little bit more often is going to be the way to go. Getting the back throw into the guard damage, that was a pretty significant blow.
And what is Twixxie gonna do here? He's gonna go for it. Is he gonna soul charge? No, he's not. All right, going into the final round between these two, both of them sitting on 2 meters.
I would say that the meter usage from Mina is significantly more oppressive, especially when it comes to Soul Charge. So I'm curious to see. Okay, so we're going to use the first one aggressively. It makes sense. But you kind of want to stay away because you don't want to allow Twixxie to get the Soul Charge back. Okay, so ends up getting the mix. Something that beats activation, and there it is. A good amount of damage already. At this point, he's dead to a CE. And there it is.
There it goes.
Yeah, unfortunately, a little bit too much of an ambitious pull there, assuming that his opponent was going to backstep there. But if you think about it, at mid-range, there's not really anything to keep you from sidestepping, because the 6-6A is, for one, going to potentially be punishable because you're going to get in between that dead space between the first hit and the second hit. But also, for two, you can still step it and block in time, because it's a relatively slow move. So, yeah, not so much with the catching of the backdash. There's no reason for him to backdash there.
Yeah, and again, Mina is one of those characters that does a really good job at just challenging Ivy.
I think he's only been to one of these before. Is he one with Cassandra? Oh, interesting. I've seen him play Cassandra before. I guess I just wasn't really expecting it. Okay, so we've decided to forgo the kind of punishment gain that we typically see from Sophie and go with something where you can just go straight up in your face, but you don't have to deal with base hold as much because Xianghua can kind of rely on horizontals, and this way you can kind of rely on kicks instead. But it looks like Legit has decided not to play. What's going on?
I was gonna say he legit is not moving at all.
Are they just I mean, if you're just, you guys do realize that you're playing on Parsec, so you could effectively just press the start menu and reset it if Legit wasn't ready or something.
Yeah, I mean, he didn't say anything. He didn't say.
Okay, yeah, it looks like they're just playing it out, and it's, you know, no big deal.
I'm tempted to yell at him for that because I have a rule against this shit.
I mean, if he ended up having a problem with his controller, I guess there's not much to be done. But
well, no, you hit the start button, you go to character select.
Yeah, I guess, yeah, that part he's having a little bit of a weird time. But optimal punish there on the BA, but definitely not the optimal combo in that regard.
Right, here comes the stance shenanigans from Siegfried. Nice sidestep from Xephukai, showing that he knows what to do in this matchup, but he is just... Siegfried is kind of slowly chipping away at his life, but, you know, this is Xephukai. Let's see what he does.
Yeah, he kind of needs to get in and able to perform any sort of pressure here. And it seems like, overall, he's familiar with the timings and everything that Siegfried's going to throw at him, but I don't think he's yet figured out the fact that his character has significantly less range than any of the other characters he typically plays.
Yeah, punish again from Xephukai. But to me, it's just looking like maybe he's just trying to establish a pace and a rhythm. And it looks like he's finding his way, but, you know, Legit Legacy goes for the bubble, gets nothing off of it at all.
Ooh, that was going to be safe to Ari anyway, so there wasn't much that he could do there. So yeah, it seems like Xephukai is kind of finding a rhythm and able to get into his Siegfried opponent's face and just press a whole lot of buttons that are significantly faster. But once Legit is able to actually create some sort of a pressure, see, the thing is that you only need to be correct so many times with Siegfried pressure to end up doing a ton of damage. Cassandra, not exactly the best at that unless she has Divine Force, which I don't think Xeph has been able to get. Wow, that caught the sidestep a little bit too delayed.
Barely, right. I mean, he almost. Well, here we go. And
yeah, that's going to hook.
No.
I think it should have, but a fantastic RI. Let's see if he's right on the 50-50. He was.
Ooh. And Legit taking that 3-1. I wonder what Zeph is going to do. Is he going to stick to Cassandra?
Looks like he went with select a stage. I guess he wants something that's going to give him a little bit more room to work with.
And I think that would be good. You know, some space against Siegfried can't be a bad thing.
I don't know if he wanted that much space. I doubt it's that big of a deal, but
I was just gonna say, like, damn, you wanted space. This is a lot of effing space.
Yeah, I wouldn't necessarily say that I would want. I mean, I never want this.
And that's exactly why. That's exactly why, right there. Siegfried goes for a move, Cassandra goes to respond to it, and she just couldn't reach.
Yeah,
and that's exactly why we don't want. Well, not we, but that's exactly why he probably didn't want that much space with Cassandra.
Ends up getting the correct roll. He's got to have to worry about that bubble. Gets a back grab. Wow. I would not have expected that to be a back grab in that situation. Oh no, he didn't react appropriately when he was correct. So that's... I can't tell if this is going to kill. Because this was a huge combo that came off of it. He's in yellow life, so maybe it will, but I would have expected it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it doesn't do that much damage once you have like that full combo connected with the burst, but ends up getting the stacks off of the CE, coupled with the fact that his 2A is a true low that actually has to be blocked low. Getting 2 rounds closer to beating Xephukai.
Jit really playing this well. Xephukai getting this grab again. Is that a side grab? I believe that's a side throw from her. Yeah, he's landed it twice already. Well, can you break those?
Break side grabs? Oh, sure. Yeah. Just was a traditional grab. That was a back grab, too? Man, I'm getting robbed with these things, man. Holy hell. Alright, I mean, Zeph, you gotta figure something out pretty quickly.
What legit is going on here? What in the legit? The launcher into CE. Okay, it's gonna buy him some time.
Decides to spend the bar because he has 2 bars already. It definitely makes sense. Also gives him Divine Force, if I recall correctly, yeah. So many side grabs. Makes sense.
Yeah, finally breaking it.
Yeah, a Greek is going to have an easier time trying to get in and try to exert some of this pressure. The step duck catch doesn't actually work. Ooh, ends up blocking the bubble. Alright, so that should do it. Gets him 1 round.
Alright, going into this 4th round. Nice sidestep from Xephukai.
He's getting the sidesteps, but his character can't reach enough. He's going to have to fully commit. I think he could. He just needs to commit to the sidestep catch much quicker is the problem. Oh boy, that's 2, and that's 3.
Oh my god.
And that's 4. All right, good
what
job,
in the hell? What in the hell? I don't even know what to say about that. Was that conditioning? Was that just going for the same thing? I don't know.
I assume the first one was catching Zeph trying to sidestep, and then the second one was him ducking for a potential grab, and then the third one was him trying to roll on the ground. All 3 of the options that Zeph ended up choosing end up losing to the lawnmower. So good job to Legit. Maybe in the next match that we see of him, his controller will be working at the start of the game.
The no mix up. Yep, that makes a lot of sense.
Blow. Yeah, anyway, Gustav's legit. He is indeed legit. In the meantime, while Ian gets the next set of matches going, appreciate everybody that has contributed to the crowdfund in the last couple of matches. We're at $85 right now. Thank you so much. Exclamation point Match Arena for the crowdfund link. Promo code is SAVENLBC178 for free 50-cent donations. Make sure to check out the marketplace if you want an item. Make sure to check out the special sponsor quest already from G Fuel Energy, Twitter quest, YouTube quest. Make sure you right click if you see a dot. Make sure you right click, get extra money. Twitch quest. Thank you to the top 5 donors: Custom Asian, Marginal, Alchemist, Zicky Pigster, and Gandyman. We appreciate anybody that's taking the time to use any of the promo codes or sponsor quests. Don't forget, guys, a portion of these proceeds go to the players. We're helping out NYC Next Level. We're trying to pay for these Cloud Parsec instances, and we're trying to hook up the commentators. So we appreciate anything that you guys can give each and every week. We got him next, Ian.
Okay, hold on. I was
It's alright, you're doing shit. I know.
Talking to folks. So we are now in winners quarterfinals. Now, who do we got in winners quarterfinals? At the top, we got Incendiate versus TwiceADay. Then we're gonna have linkorz versus Manta, Rikuto versus NoWo, and EndersJ versus Legit. So I think I'm going to ask for Incendiate and TwiceADay first.
Now, I'm curious. Clive, how would you feel about the Ivy versus Kilik matchup?
Oh, thank you. Oh, wait, before you answer that,
sorry.
Thank you to Graffiti Souls for donating $75 in cash to the tournament. always coming through. Thank you so much. Everybody appreciates it. Carry on.
Okay, to answer your question, I don't have a ton of Kilik experience to really digest the matchup. I think it's similar to Mina in that he can also contest her where she wants, like that 6-6 AA range. You know, he does really well there. I think what it's going to come down to is if TwiceADay decides to play a more aggressive Kilik, then that's where Ivy is going to have a rough time. Because I do find that Kilik, even though he has a staff, even though you want to treat him traditionally as someone who's good at the mid-range, I think in combination with his soul charge, he can fight you up close as well and be annoying to deal with as an Ivy main. So that's how I see it happening. Based on what we saw earlier from TwiceADay, it's certainly to be a slobber knocker between him and Incendiate. Incendiate has already chosen who he wants. He wants to use Ivy in this matchup. So that tells me he knows that Ivy does better. So I'm going to be commentating, but low-key taking notes.
Sure. I'm curious to see, again, I know TwiceADay does play other characters. I very much doubt that we're going to be able to, that we're going to see something like that. I would imagine that because the role of Ivy is to keep out in the situation and she has so many tools to do so, I think the fact, I would imagine that the game plan, the spacing that Kilik wants to play the game in is not really going to come up all that often. I think he's going to have a tough time just trying to, you know, race over to the Ivy opponent, and then once he's even in there, he doesn't necessarily have the same kind of pressure and tools the way that you would have from like an Amy or a Taki or, you know, who's he what's it fast person. So I imagine it could be relatively difficult for Kilik to keep up, either in the spacing or the damage after you get in.
Yeah, and again, I just
Whoop.
What?
Okay, so we decided the complete opposite. So instead of not dealing with the mid-range by backstepping, we're going to not deal with the mid-range by doing 3A and tech crouching under it constantly until eventually we're up in our opponent's face and then just mash a whole lot of buttons. That's what we want to do.
Yeah, the matchup really just changed by him going to X, which I'm really surprised by because I believe last week he took Xephukai out the tournament with Ivy. You know,
yeah, different matchup, different kind of player. Yeah. I assume he wanted to, and also, you know.
Not Xephukai, Party Wolf. Yeah, sorry.
Oh, okay. I see.
I'm like, I hear myself like Xephukai. What? Definitely Party Wolf.
Yeah. Well, we see Zeph so often, and I think that's going to be a ring out. So that was kind of a.
It sure is.
On the 4-4A there, to try and get under that high. I always love 4-4A. I think that's his like best move. Boo 2-2B. 4-4A is the way to go.
Okay, gonna get a nice whiff punish here, some plus frames, nice throw break. And again, he is just staying on top of TwiceADay. Finally a response. He was getting really overwhelmed there.
The thing is that even once Kilik finally has initiative, the Crybaby is going to keep him from getting any of the kind of good Oki that we typically see from Kilik. Because unfortunately, well, which is normally fortunate, but is unfortunate in this kind of situation, is that a lot of the Kilik Oki that he gets out of his combos kind of plant the opponent right at his feet. So he's going to be directly into Crybaby range, which kind of stinks.
And again, I mean, this pressure from Incendiate, TwiceADay has not been able to man an effective offense yet. Nice duck, and again, I expect Incendiate to know where he's able to capitalize on those moments. And again, as you stated earlier, you know, Kilik being one of those characters that does rely on highs, it's showing here. But Incendiate is mixing it slowly. Okay, get the punish.
Yeah, I'm kind of surprised that he's been able to get away from Remembrance so much, the horizontal auto-GI that Kilik has at his disposal. The fact that only one lethal hit has happened so far this set, whenever I play X in this kind of situation, I end up running into that thing all the time. So some kind of timing, some sort of movement decision from Incendiate is keeping it from being too obvious.
Right. Okay, misses that. Gonna soul charge after the low this time.
He wanted that wall hit so badly, and he ends up getting it anyway. Right in the
No crybaby for you.
Oh, that's gonna be it! That is -12 on block. It ended up whiffing, but it was gonna be -12 on block anyway. So, yeah, unfortunately. So it looks like that's what Incendiate's plan was. Is effectively weather the storm until TwiceADay ends up making a commitment that he's not going to be able to handle in the future.
All right, and taking that 3-1 as well.
Yeah, pretty quickly.
Going right into a rematch.
God, some of these
Incendiate
people
looks like he's just
so
going.
quickly.
Yeah, Incendiate looks like he's just going to continue the same game plan he had before.
No reason to stop it. Makes sense.
I think that's 1A from TwiceADay that low.
The low
I think
the attack grab?
No, not that one.
Oh, okay. Well, that's 1A.
Okay, so then maybe that's 3A I'm talking about, but yeah, I think he's just gonna have to make an adjustment there because it's clearly not his turn, but he keeps trying to go for something after it, and Incendiate has gotten him every single time. I mean, he's landed the low successfully, but I mean, he's just gonna have to make.
Oh, were you potentially talking about 4A, where you end up getting the lethal hit if you hit it 4 times? Because if that's the case, so that is minus on hit, so I can imagine it's a little bit difficult for him to try and come up with something when he's dealing with an I-10 character in his face. If anything, I think 4A just might not be, kind of what you were talking about, 4A might not be the way to go. Even though you can guarantee that you're going to get the hit, the bad news situation afterwards is going to kind of kill you.
Right, and that's exactly what we were seeing as he takes this round, but that's the one thing that has jumped out to me is his use of 4A. I mean, yes, it's landing successfully, but it's clearly minus on hit. I mean, even if I didn't even know the frame, like, it's not working. You're not getting your turn afterwards, so you're gonna have to try something else.
Yeah, see, in that kind of situation off of the grab break, again, he's dealing with a character that's so much faster than in his face. And he's just having the hardest time ever actually kind of exerting any level of pressure. I have a feeling that Incendiate's going to try to end the whole game in this round and just use the meter advantage. Because even though they both have double bar, he still gets a bonus bar were he to lose this next round. Just raw 3B. Kilik now, okay, yeah. Exactly. That's minus 14. Yeah. He tries to go with the I-12 CE. He's going to get the Oki, which is effectively going to put him in a situation where the second that Twice... So Twice makes a single mistake here. Like that.
Like that?
I was talking about, like, once he gets up, he was going to have a problem trying to, like, get away from the situation. But I'm not even going to get to that.
Nope, we're going to shut this down right now. Incendiate sending TwiceADay to losers 2-0.
It was a pretty rough situation anyway, because even if he were to get up, he can't do anything that's minus 12 or worse. He can't do any highs because he's going to have to worry about... so he can't do any mids, he can't do any verts, he can't do any highs, and he can't do like a 2K because that'll get CE punished too.
Yeah, it was rough to begin with for all the reasons you've outlined. And again, whatever offense that TwiceADay was trying to mount against Incendiate, it just wasn't working at all.
We have a linkorz versus Manta up next.
Yep, we're gonna pull them up next.
Okay, so linkorz versus Manta. This is a matchup that I know was not initially in the bracket, and Link was quite sad to find out that he was going to play against Manta. I think that he finds the character and the way that Manta plays the character very tough to deal with. Switching the CPU difficulty to Legendary. Smart. Important stuff. Oh, also, Clive, just in case you don't know, we may have linkorz playing a character that you might not be expecting.
Well, I've seen linkorz play a number of characters over the game cycle, so I wouldn't be surprised if he chose... What I'm trying to say is Link has a handful of characters he plays very competently.
Sure.
Which is at least like 5 of them, right?
Yeah.
That we would easily recognize. Now, if he goes something outside of those 5, then I'd be surprised. But I am thinking Siegfried,
sure.
The Witcher, I'm forgetting, Geralt, Amy, Setsuka.
Okay, so it's not at your 5. And then probably Gro would be the other one.
Yes, Gro would be the last one. So
yeah,
outside of those 5, I'd be like, what? But
he has decided to play Setsuka this entire tournament. And I asked him, even if you start losing, and he said yes. And I said, are you sure? And he said yes. So,
you know, when you losing, you start making different decisions.
Yeah, I don't know so much. Everybody has a game plan until they get punched in the face.
Definitely. So, I mean, I would imagine Setsuka in this matchup, she's going to be able to punish quickly for sure.
Yeah, it looks like he's going to spend all of his meter on umbrellas to try and punish anything that just barely whiffs. Yeah, like that.
And again, I just want to highlight what you're saying. Spend meter. He's not even going for, you know, the difficult input. He's just like, listen, let me get my damage when I can, which I totally respect. If you can stop Voldo from getting anything started, do it. Spend all you need to just do it. Just stop him while you can.
And you can kind of tell the reason why he wants to keep Manta from doing what he typically does, because the second that he had any modicum of initiative, it kind of his entire life bar ended up evaporating. Man, that kind of a trade was mad bad news for him. Alright, so let's see if he can get anything out of this back turn. Of course, you have to worry about back turn whenever you're doing with Voldo.
Right. Again, the whiff. He is just going in. Oh.
I wonder what he
Whiff
wanted
City.
there. We built Whiff City. Alright, I had to stop doing that. Every time you say it, it's the first thing that comes to my mind. So I had to... It's on me, I understand.
Yeah, but Link taking the second round, and again, I think he's doing a really great job at punishing. But, you know, he just has to watch his whiffs himself.
Yeah, perhaps he needs to be a little bit more defensive when it comes to trying to deal with Manta once he's finally in stance. The trying to interrupt him when he's out of stance is definitely working, but the second that he's in stance, this kind of stuff happens.
Yeah, but I can understand it might be a struggle, because it's like, on one hand, you want to stop him from doing anything, but on the other hand, you want to play defensively and get him to whiff something. So, I mean, it's just always back. I mean, Manta's Voldo in particular is crazy, but the character itself is a mixed bag. So,
yeah.
You know, it's always going to take a combination of strategies to really deal with fighting this character.
I think Manta is just totally comfortable with the idea of both of them sacking their soul charges in order for nothing to happen, because Setsuka's is definitely one of the craziest ones, but ends up getting, both of them end up getting a little bit of that to clinch it. So that was real fast. Now I'm curious to know if Link will want a bigger stage, because then you allow the character to just kind of go into Manta Sprawl and go flying all which way in all kinds of directions. So I don't know. I can't tell which way he's going to go with this. Okay, he decides to stick with the rematch. That makes sense.
Yeah, and that it wasn't even a. Was it a whiff 6-6B? I feel like so it did whiff. Okay.
Yeah, it was a whiff
like,
punch. That's what that's.
Okay. So I'm like, how? I'm pretty sure if that was on block, that would not have landed. It had to have been a whiff punish.
Yeah, see, this is the situation that is just killing Link. The second he gets into stances, then we completely fall apart. So many break attacks happening, and it looks like, okay, I think Link just has to realize that even after the break attack, he's going to have to continue to block, even though they're not necessarily amazing on block. So he ends up getting out of there, but he ends up losing the round anyway, plus he has a red guard gauge. So I kind of wish they had stayed in so you could potentially do something, but man, Link has got to figure out something pretty quickly. Ooh, ended up jumping with 6 base.
Going into the second round with a blinking gauge already, but, you know, luckily for him, he's recovered. Alright, gets the counter hit 6B. Alright, the 2As have been working out as well for him. He's really been stopping Voldo from really doing anything with those 2As, but doesn't look like it's going to be all he needs.
Yeah, once he's in the stance, see, these little slight sidesteps that are happening in those situations are really what's killing him. Is that I don't think Link is used to dealing with somebody who's going to be sidestepping so quickly and so confidently in those situations. And Setsuka, outside of 2A, really isn't the best at trying to keep somebody from sidestepping in that regard.
Absolutely.
See, these situations when he's like in control, right, where it seems to be both of them seem to be picking at each other and it's not a big deal. But then Manta gets into those kinds of stance mix-ups and suddenly everything falls apart. Oh boy, here we go. Yeah, see, he keeps pressing after that break attack, and it's just not working.
Yeah, and I mean, okay, he could possibly end it. Yes, takes the second round. I mean, the third round. Now we're going into the
third
fourth.
round is first.
His first, yes.
Yeah. Nice quick punish. See, again, in these situations, he's doing so well, but then this starts happening, and he just doesn't know what to do. I can't blame him. I don't know what to do.
Oh my god, but okay, Manta's gonna soul charge, and this is good for him, but he has let linkorz away from the wall, and look at him just taking his time. It's very trolly of him. You know, like, go ahead.
He's got another bar.
Dare
He's gonna have a bonus bar were he to lose his round, so it makes sense. Here we go. This is what he wanted the whole time.
Where, right. This is where he should really push forward, forcing linkorz to soul charge. See if he can get anything started here with no.
See, the situation also is the problem that I find that Setsuka's Oki is pretty good, especially obviously when you're in Soul Charge, but you see that little stuttering that he's doing when Voldo is kind of like flopping onto the ground and everything. This is a traditional problem when you're trying to beat Voldo, is the fact that his hitbox just basically disappears whenever he's on the ground. So the second that you go for your traditional Oki, he can just roll away, and then suddenly you're dealing with a back turn I-12 CE or something like that. And so you really need to be on top of him in order to get anything going, which then Voldo players take advantage of because they're aware that good players know to do that. So you end up providing yourself significantly more options when you're waking up.
Yeah, linkorz sent down to losers 2-0 by Manta. We'll see if we'll see him later. But yeah, I also think a stage switch might have benefited him a little bit.
Yeah, maybe. I just feel like he wanted the ability to put Manta up against the wall without him having the avenue of any attacks. I think that was the thing. And so providing him a larger stage would mean that he'd be able to get out of situations a lot more often.
Alright.
Yeah, and to that point, you definitely don't want to have to chase a Voldo. Go ahead, Ian.
Rikuto versus Nowo. Rikuto's on One Piece side. He's not team just
I'm sure the owner will be quite irritated.
Probably.
Who can say? If only we had some means of communication with said owner. Oh well. So Astaroth,
we're gonna start this match.
I'm trying to think of the last time we saw these two play against each other. I'm sure it's happened many times before. They are frequenters of basically any tournament that allows them to get money during COVID.
Yeah, and again, I think this is a match that Samina does relatively well in, but, you know, Rikuto is a different type of Astaroth. So this is really just going to come down to who can outplay the other, and, you know, Nowo right there, showing he knows where to duck, and he's going to take the first round.
Obviously, with a wall-rising B plus K lethal hit for ducking grabs, Mina is going to have a fantastic punish for the kind of grabs that you're going to see from Astaroth. Now, that being said, I don't think that she's the best at doing multiple fast-hitting strings. Therefore, the armor grabs from Astaroth might be a pretty solid way to go. You can see he was trying to do the wall-rising B plus K there. It didn't end up working out, though. Neither of them all that great at block punishment.
Rikuto, very defensive here. He's just holding on to guard.
Getting those whip punishes, but he's not actually capitalizing off of them. And I feel at this point, Nowo's just going to start going towards the guard gauge, which doesn't take Mina a lot of time. Tons of meter, too.
Oh, nice GI from Nowo.
Oh wow, beat up the armor
multi-hits.
Did you have to spend meter in order to kill here? I think I would have spent the meter were it definitely going to kill. So many GIs, too. He looks prepared. But if he's wrong about this RE, he's going to end up losing the round, and he wasn't. Wow, that's going to be pretty irritating for Rikuto. Getting the clash on the RE, and still end up just like hard losing the 1 out of 3.
Right, Rikuto's going to soul charge. And again, you know, the last time he soul charged, Nowo did such a good job at hitting his, using his strings with multiple hits. And he's just denying Rikuto any opportunity to get any type of offense started, which is what you want to do against Astaroth. You don't want to give him a chance to delete your health bar.
Ended up getting that armor right now from the high. Ends up getting the wall rising B+K, which is going to kill probably. He's in yellow life, so almost undoubtedly. But yeah, we really only saw one spark. Oh wow, that didn't kill. There's no way, right? Yeah. We really only saw one spark of momentum from Rikuto during that match. So I'm curious to see if he can come up with something a little bit better. But overall, he's definitely noticing that Noah is going to play very, very active. He's throwing out a lot of those break attacks, which could potentially be jump grabbed if you can react quickly enough. The armor grab idea that I was talking about doesn't seem to be like it's going to be working all that much. And so maybe potentially more crouch grabs would definitely be the way to go, because he looks like he's preemptively doing the wall rising B+K rather than just like reacting to it. Or you could just go for Rikuto is definitely a bigger proponent of like using the axe rather than using the hands of Astaroth.
Yeah, he's really good at using those moves from a particular range. But again, I just losing and preventing Astaroth from using his armor significantly puts him at a disadvantage. Yeah. And most of the time, I want to say most of the time that Rikuto has gone for it thus far, Noah has successfully just countered it. And I wonder if what else, like if you are an Astaroth player and your armor keeps getting, countered, like what do you do?
I guess it depends on how it's getting countered, right? Yeah, I mean, for the most part, you're not going to armor, but how are you getting punished? So, for instance, the way that he's doing it, the way that Noah is doing it, is with smaller multi-hit strings, but those don't necessarily have the same kind of ranges or big-time stuff, right? So you can start trying to back up and start doing things like BA and trying to beat it out that way. He's getting a little bit more success with trying to do, like, 1-1B, but overall, the timing just doesn't seem to be there, and it looks like Rikuto's getting a little bit impatient. I think he intentionally took the break here because it was a round that he was away, so it definitely makes sense. Oh man, these step ducks and everything are kind of killing him as well. Just the overall movement and timing that Noah has right now is completely countering Rikuto.
Yeah, it's gonna soul charge. I think he's too far away to even hit. Alright, finally getting an armor off. Half health gone.
That's the other thing, is that Noah's been correct about pretty much all the grabs. Is that going to kill? No, he doesn't go. Oh, okay, very scary there. Imagine he had gone for a grab there after the whiff, and then the wall rising B+K had happened. That would have been real tough noogies. But Mina with double soul charge, the only soul charge that I think rivals Astaroth soul charge in terms of scariness.
Yeah, and I mean, Noah opened this round by
Yeah, that was too
Noah opened this round by running in and soul charging. He's ready to just get this over with.
I mean, it makes sense, right? He has 2 bars to Astaroth's none, so he can't soul charge back. Second that he has the opportunity to soul charge again, he's going to do it. Well, I don't know, so I think he just tried to GI, but those moves are break attacks, so I don't know so much, but Noah ends up taking it.
Yeah, and I mean, just the canceling out of her stance, that confused me watching it, so I can't imagine like what could he just took that really convincingly to like 2-0 over Rikuto.
Yeah, if you don't have the reads with Astaroth, it's gonna totally fall apart mad quickly. That's just the unfortunate situation.
Mm-hmm.
All right, next up, EndersJ versus Legit.
So I was asking,
so I don't think
who won that one, guys?
That was Noah 2-0. And I believe you said it was EndersJ versus Legit?
Yes.
Yep.
This is the first time that I think I've seen these two play against each other. Siegfried, obviously a character that Enders has quite a lot of experience against. Can't say I've seen legit play Cervantes at all, but surely he's played against Cervantes at some point in the past.
Yeah, and it's been quite some time since I've seen EnderJ play in this particular tournament. Or maybe he just wasn't on stream. But you know, EnderJ, I've seen him play Siegfried as well. I don't know if that's one of his like shadow characters or something, but I've seen him play
Astaroth,
Siegfried too. Yeah.
But this is the first time that I think I've seen Enders play. Oh, it looks like the names are going to be switched. EndersJ is going to be player 2, legit player 1.
Let's do this.
But I think this is the first time that Enders has played in an NLBC in like a month or something like that. I think he's taken just a tiny bit of a break. It looks like he's back.
Yeah, that's what I thought. It's been quite some time. But you know, familiar face, familiar name, both offline when we had an offline.
Yeah.
And online as well, so let's see what he does here.
And immediately an A plus B. I imagine that was supposed to be something else, like an AGA. See, typically, when Enders has to play against that well-known Siegfried player from New York, that well-known Siegfried player plays Geralt instead. So I'm curious to see how long it's been since he's played against this matchup specifically.
Yeah, well, the one thing I've taken note of, and I don't know if EnderJ has also taken note of it, but legit did not punish his 3B.
Yeah.
First opportunity he had, he didn't punish it. And what did we see from EnderJ? Like 3 more of them,
Yeah.
and they all land, you know. And again, well, not again, but one of the things with Cervantes, you have to punish his key moves. You have to shut those down immediately. It makes him significantly harder to play if the Cervantes can't just use those moves. The 3B, the Wild Rising A, like those are moves you have to pay attention to. But
no, I imagine that kind of thing could potentially be difficult, seeing as Siegfried on block punishment isn't the best unless it's punishable enough to where you can get an IAGA lethal hit, which 3B doesn't count as. So I feel like there's a chance that might be the problem. But should he get his stand kick punish instead of not getting it? Sure.
yeah.
That was that way. Nice punish.
And EnderJ punishing where he needs to.
Just straight up confidently taking the mix, which not a lot of people do. Oh, the lawnmower again.
Oh, we saw what he did.
Side step. Alright, doesn't look like he's going to be able to kill. It's going to get close.
Ooh, gets the lethal hit.
Try to go for that lawnmower. Man, not scared about the bubble at all. Definitely calling, so the legit blocking low there, specifically because he imagined that Enders was going to give him credit for the bubble. So looks like Yomi level 3 in that situation. Wow, that sidestep was so fast!
Wow.
Just small stuff over and over again. Bubble already gone. Soul charge nearly out. Yeah, not getting a punish on that wall rising A at all either. So potentially he needs to start actually going for the block punishment as opposed to going for a potential setup. That's going to give Enders
Look, you see what I'm saying? Like, he had the opportunity to punish it, didn't punish it. And that same exact move ends up winning EnderJ the game. But one of the things that I love about watching EnderJ play is his patience. You know what I mean? He did like the micro steps, the blocking. It's just so smooth. And that's exactly what we were seeing from him during the second round in particular, with the just taking his time, punishing with the AAs. It just all flows so well.
Yeah, and I especially, again, like the fact that he is relying on moves that are typically block punishable and has decided against it. It's definitely something that I can understand. Oh. I see.
Okay.
Haven't actually seen legit play other characters, so this was about as surprising as it could get. Probably not a matchup that Enders has a ton of experience in. Certainly not as much experience as Siegfried. Looking for a character that can actually punish those situations that we saw a little bit better. Maybe that's why.
I have no clue. I mean, Hilda is just such a monster.
Yeah.
She's a good choice no matter what the matchup is, but I can see those points being covered for here. It will be significantly easier to punish Cervantes and to get certain whiff punishes. But, you know, EndersJ is kind of not letting that happen right now. And he just tears through the first round. I mean, looked like that wasn't in his favor. And that Wild Rising A just kicked in the momentum for him.
Yeah, that was kind of crazy. The first part, like, as you were talking, I was like, wow, Enders is kind of getting scraped right now because he's just, like, not figuring out these timings, taking hard reads in situations where he doesn't have to, kind of look like he's panicking. But now he looks like he's taking control of legit panicking. And it seems like if legit were to just stay in standing off of, like, standing resets and not taking a big bet, it would end up going a lot better for him.
But yeah, these kicks are putting in damage. I mean, putting in work for legit.
Oh, and this is what happens when you end up getting a little bit too ornery against Cervantes. You can keep going for those kicks, but they're pretty dangerous. Meter disadvantage, but still ended up taking that round. Evening it up.
Okay, gonna get a grab here.
Oh,
into another one.
That's gonna even it up. No, it's not. I lied. Nice block. No punish, though.
Oh, and that, I believe that's 66B plus K from Hilda tech crouches, which was looking like it was to be beneficial to her in that situation, but ended up turning towards EnderJ's favor. That's one of her sneaky moves. I can't believe the tech crouches. Like,
yeah, of course. Okay, so it looks like Enders took about a round in order to figure out some semblance of a rhythm. Fantastic sidestep. He ended up botching that the last time. He has the lethal hit stocked up now. Nice side. Ooh, I was about to say nice teleport away, but didn't end up working out. He's totally comfortable with both the soul charges getting eliminated here, but it ends up guessing hard wrong on like everything possible. There it is. There's the duck he was looking for the whole time. Okay, and as far as Enders is concerned, this is a win in and of itself because it creates a situation where Legit is going into the last round with no resources whatsoever. Oh, he tried to win punish.
Up getting flipped.
Yeah, he wanted that 3B plus K so bad. We're gonna see it again. That's 100% what he's looking for. There it is. Oh, I lied.
Sidestep. Going to full tell what's going to be the 3B. Going to get some damage here.
You gonna spend
Is he going to go for it? Yes, he is.
Ooh, nice duck punish. He still has another bar. If he needs it. It looks like he's not going to. NLBC takes it 2-0. So now we know the Legit plays another character.
Yeah, and that was such a smart move to go for the mid by EnderJ because every, you know, those rounds where Legit was close to winning or where he did win, it was a result of EnderJ running in and Legit going for Hilda's tech crouch, break attack. And with the mid this time, I mean, EnderJ was just like, no, not this time. No, you die.
Yeah, he seemed a lot more confident about the matchup than I had expected, and he was wholeheartedly confident about ducking in a handful of positions just over and over again. I guess to try and catch a grab. I wonder what he was reading in some of those situations where he ended up taking so many hits and then still going for the duck anyway.
So we're about to cross over into top 8.
Oh, can I have a second to cycle this recording?
Yeah, do that, and you know,
all right, cool.
Usual.